Hello, and welcome to ShishaTime. We have one viewer. Whoever you are, please reveal yourselves.
Yeah, show yourself. It's probably Kess, but
Does Kess know that he can chat with us?
yeah, I told him to.
Okay.
Forced chat. It's okay. No one will know. There's only one viewer. Yeah.
If this one viewer is not Kess, just so you know, you can.
Yes, him.
Okay,
Oh, Pat's here. Okay, I might check in.
Hi.
That's weird. It only says one viewer, but there's two. What else are we being lied to, huh?
Yeah, geez, restream. How we all doing? Quick lesbian check-in before we start.
I'm doing great. Personally, I'm doing fantastic. Put on deodorant for you, Zoma. Zoma, I did so much for you. I cut my bangs. I straightened my hair. I did my nails.
Glasses.
Thank you. And then I saw you, and I was like, I didn't do anything. What is the result here? I'm upset.
Yeah, Zoe, you look great.
Oh, thanks, guys. You're wearing matching t-shirts.
That's right.
Dima made them.
As you can tell, the spacing on the letters aren't good, so I made them.
Was that intentional, the spacing?
That's what I've been told to tell people, so yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's what you should have told me just now.
So yeah, it is. Thanks, I'm a designer.
How are you doing, Zoma?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this. I can't believe it's over. Like, it's been so long. I think you messaged me. You reached out to me like
a long time ago.
That was like in May last year. Yeah. And now this is the end. It's crazy.
This is literally it. This is the last weekend to see the show. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I forgot it was a short month, so we're really ripping people off, but it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
They deserve it.
How is it for you now that this is the last interview? You're done after this.
Feels pretty good. Actually, we're stressing out about the next one.
Yeah, we are.
But it'll probably be easier. Yeah, it'll probably be a lot easier after this.
Yeah.
This one that took a year to make.
Yeah, I think so also. Okay, should we start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we'll start with a land acknowledgement, as always. So Dead Projects Collective comprises of me and Dima. And we rest on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Chippewa, Wendat, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit. But Toronto is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. This land was signed under the Toronto Purchase Treaty Number 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. But while this acknowledges the history of the land that we're sitting on, we're also currently in digital space as well, and often Indigenous peoples are left out of the conversation around technology and futures. So it's important to bring that layer into our acknowledgement as well. So I'm going to read something written by Jason Edward Lewis, a digital media theorist, poet, and software designer based in Tiohtià:ke, also known as Montreal. He introduced a framework for Indigenous self-determination in digital space called the Indigenous Future Imaginary Intentions. And they are, number one, manifest the future with Indigenous peoples in it. 2, hybridize the present in new or extreme ways, modifying contemporary realities to open up future possibilities. 3, alter the past to lead to different futures. 4, shape digital infrastructure by engaging with digital media and digital culture. 5, critique the past and reflect on Indigenous creative engagements with technology. He's also the co-founder of Aboriginal Territories in Cyberspace, which you can learn more about at abtech.org. We highly recommend checking it out. And if any of you are also familiar with Second Life, AppTech also has an island in Second Life location that you can access, and they actually have a virtual exhibit on right now called A Thread That Never Breaks, and it's curated by Lisa Myers and Sage Paul. Please check it out if you get the chance. Thanks. And Dima, I'll pass it to you.
Wow, I didn't realize you muted me.
I heard something in the background as I was reading, and I was like, no, none of this.
How dare you? It was probably me clearing my throat from when I choked on my spit. So I'll just introduce our artist. Zoma Maduekwe is a digital designer from Toronto. She works largely in the area of tech art, using programming, physical computing, and a variety of digital tools as the main materials in her artist practice. Web applications, 3D video games, electronics design, and electroacoustic designs are the most common mediums she uses to express reflections on how to present on how the state uses and views tech. Her projects often explore themes of human-computer interaction, DIY technology, mathematics and music, and countless other ways of merging coding and art. Zoma is a graduate of OCAD's Integrated Media and is currently studying software engineering at 42 Silicon Valley. She's a member of Toronto's Black Artists Union and has shown work at the Art Gallery of Guelph, Gallery 44, Bunker 2, and other local art spaces. So basically, she's the best. What doesn't she do?
You guys make it sound like I do so much stuff. I'm like, wow.
You do!
I would just like to remind you that you also wrote this. You wrote the bio.
Yeah, she's probably
I honestly, like, I write so many bios, like, I was like, did you guys write that? Did I write that?
No, you wrote it. Like, you do this stuff. You kill it all the time.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for joining us, Zoma. So maybe we'll introduce our collective a little bit also in case there's anyone who is new. So yeah, we Dima and I started this collective last year after the pandemic hit because we were trying to think of alternative ways to do things that we usually do, like smoking shisha. And so we started doing this thing called ShishaTime, which is what this talk is named after, where we would just blow smoke in each other's faces via FaceTime and chat. And then and after that, we were like, oh, what are we going to do with like the arts now that we have a pandemic? And so we decided to try and build this virtual space to create alternative viewing conditions for emerging and underrepresented artists, because of course, emerging and underrepresented artists are the ones who suffer the most in situations like this. So if you haven't had a chance to, please check out our exhibit. It is the last weekend to see it. Just want to say that. So as soon as Monday hits, it's going to be gone. It's going to be archived. But in case you haven't had a chance to, please do. We have these like very user-friendly annotations that you guide through the space. And each piece has a link to something else as well. Zoma's has a video and a downloadable game, which we're going to get into more in just a minute. And yeah, so with that, I guess we'll start by for folks at home that haven't had a chance to like familiarize themselves with your piece yet. Could you give us just like a brief overview?
Yeah. So I started this project in 2018, I think, and I came to the idea because I was looking at just doing a lot of research on. I was really into, and still am really into, politics in Africa and different countries in Africa. Specifically, like environmental issues, legislative issues, and also just like global statistics when you want to compare, what's going on in one part of the world to another part of the world to see, how development is working. And something that I found was when I would look on, when I would look for statistics or data, I'd come up against this thing that I see all the time. It's like, data is not available in this region. And like statistics are not available for this region. And it was always like in Africa, and like everywhere else in the world, they would have, the surveys done and, all the information, but in Africa, except for like South Africa, like there would be nothing. And I thought that was interesting. And I was working with Max MSP a lot and like trying to just like making interactive, applications or interactive artworks. And I looked at Google Maps because they also have, they collect data, like Street View data. So, and I noticed that there are very few countries that they actually have any Street View data. Like they just don't go there for the most part. Like I don't know why. And I was looking a lot into like surveillance and like so that's an issue too. Like there's not a lot of data in certain parts of the world, but when it comes to stuff like Street View or someone coming in and taking photos and videos of your neighborhood, is that something that you really want anyway? Or like representation in like tech, for example, that's something that I was looking at the time when they started doing reporting on how automata was picking up dark skin. Like they would show, I remember seeing a bunch of news articles about like, black people would like use a hand dryer and it wouldn't work because it wouldn't recognize their skin tone, or certain facial recognition, for example, wouldn't recognize like Black or African features. And some people, that was a debate for a little while. Like, it's kind of messed up that they just completely left out a whole group of people. But then there's another side that says, do we even really want to be represented in that way? Like, do we really want to be, so visible? So I was working through those ideas when I made this project. And I basically just wanted to make a game where we could explore the data that we already do have, and also kind of highlight why we have data on certain places versus others. And something that I found when I did this project, so I'll explain what I did. I took screen recordings of me using Google Maps Street View, and I used it as a backdrop for a driving video game. And something that I found, so what I did was just dropped my little person into different parts, just random places, and I looked up those areas on Google, and I was trying to figure out what was so significant about certain areas that they chose to highlight. And I talked about that a little bit in the game. Yeah, that's the basis of what I did.
Thank you for sharing.
I was muted. I was saying things. I was like, "This is amazing! Wow!" And then it's like, "You're muted." Anyway, I typed you up. Wow, this is fantastic. Honestly, working with this piece was going to be our biggest challenge for the first exhibition, but honestly, extremely rewarding to see this live somewhere and continue living in the digital space. So I guess mentioning challenges, what was maybe the biggest challenge with making this game, and how did you overcome it?
So when you first reached out to me, you had seen something that I posted on my Instagram, and when I first started, I was working in a different. I made it in a different medium. So when I first started working on it, I was using this software called Max MSP, and that is like a audio, video, interactive art platform. It's not really intended to be used for games, but you can do that, which is what I did. But Max is more so for performance. It's really good for performance and doing things live. And like if you're playing music, for example, you can have, you know, video. Some DJs use it to have like, you know, lighting or video that corresponds to their music, and it makes it a more interesting live performance.
Interesting.
But when you want to, it doesn't really have any sort of like web compatibility. It's not, you can't really like put it on a website, for example, and it's not, you can't, I mean, you can share it with people, but they have to have the software on their computer downloaded, and they have to have a license if they want to use it past the free trial, you know? So it's not really the best for sharing with other people. So that was the main challenge, was shifting my whole idea to a new platform. I was using Max and to move it to Unity, which is, you know, that's just what you, if you want to make a game, that's just kind of what you have to do. Like, not necessarily Unity, or there's other ones, but when I did that, I had to revisit and also just like fill in a lot of the holes that were for issues that I was having. I had to actually like fill those in and make it concrete so it could work and be shareable, and anybody anywhere who has a computer can use it.
So this kind of started out as like, if I'm understanding correctly, the software you first use is like presentation purposes only, really.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, and then you made it into something that's interactive.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, you can Max programs when you build them. You can share them with people, but basically only people who know how to use Max will really understand, or it'll just be easier for them. So yeah, I had to figure out how to make it accessible to everyone, and when you're designing a game, you know, certain things that you think are just, when you're doing it, you think that, oh, everybody's gonna know to click on this, but you know, it's like you have to actually tell people or give instructions, like this is something that you can click on, or this is something that's gonna, you know, bring you to the next level, for example.
Right. That makes sense. I love this piece. Like, Dima and I were so impressed with it. I remember when at first, I think I just saw it on your Instagram, and I was so intrigued. I was like, what is this? Like, I want to know how this works. I want to know how we can view it, how we can interact from it, what we can learn from it. Because I think you touch on a lot of really, really important key issues in this piece. And I think what's so interesting is that you do it in the most playful way ever, right? Like, it's something that you can really enter into because it's a game. It's fun. You're moving through places and spaces, but you talk so much about things that are missing in those places as we're moving through them. Because in Google Maps, they're like invisible, they're irrelevant. They're not there. Like, Google's not interested in telling the whole story of this place. And I think when you talked about visibility, like that kind of got me thinking as well. And I'm wondering, does like agency and authorship kind of change the question of visibility for you? Because you're really the author here, right? Whereas, you know, and this is an issue that your piece touches on, when Google's the author, there's a lot of information that's not there and not visible. So I guess what are your thoughts around that? Like, how does that kind of change the question of whether or not, you know, you want to be visible or not, or you want certain things to be visible or not?
Yeah, I mean, that's really like the main thing. So like, Google can go into an area and say, you know, this is what is worth seeing, basically. Like, we're not going to show the entire, you know, we're not going to show the majority of it, but these specific things, this is what we think that people need to see. And like, using my authorship, I just want to say, like, you know, why certain places over the others. And when I was looking into it, I found that at least like the few places that I visited, it's like I could I very much saw why. Like I feel like the answer became really clear. It's either, you know, areas that had a lot of like foreign investment, so like some like up and coming areas that were that a lot of like people from other like wealthy people from other countries had an investment in, and there's a complicated business relationship between those, you know, places, or you know, it would be areas like certain like historically slave ports that would bring. So I was in my game is set in Ghana, so like one of the areas that I found, and this was just random, you know, like I just plopped my person in and looked up what I found, and I would see like, yeah, some of them were, you know, ports where they would take enslaved people from Ghana to America, and those were that there was one of the castles. You can actually like go through it in Google Maps. And I thought that was really interesting how extensive it was. But they kind of leave out. Obviously, you know, they're not going to say we chose this place because of this and that. So that's kind of where I think, you know, designers and artists can come in and say, you know, this is the reason why. And are you okay with this? Like only these specific parts of your experience being represented.
So, Zoma, obviously you wear so many hats. You should own a closet for all these hats because it's honestly absolutely insane. So I guess maybe we can talk about your maybe like an academic background, like did you go to school and learn all these softwares? Did you present this project in school as well? Like, how was it received, and how much do we hate the education system?
Yeah, I did go to school, and this is exactly the type of stuff that I did learn in school. I started working with maths and UV, and everything that 3ds math, 3D design software I started in school. You know, I feel like it's like the cool thing to say, like, oh, like school sucks or whatever. It's like when I was in it, I definitely, I don't know, I hated school, and I'm glad that I'm not in school anymore. But I still am pretty grateful for my education. You know, like I went to another school first that didn't have any art program at all, and I was just like, what am I doing here? So I made the choice.
Where was that? Sorry.
I went to McGill for a year.
Yeah. Do you have McGillers in the room?
Oh no,
we have Concordia grads right here. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Concordia, but then, you know, I was just like, oh, I should just go to McGill. It's like, oh, McGill or whatever. And
it's the dream, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I was just not, there was just, I was doing extracurricular stuff because I wanted to do art. So I was doing like, you know, clubs and stuff that were related to art, and I was doing that so much that I was like neglecting my schoolwork. So I was like, maybe I should just go to art school, and then I did that.
That's like no.
What'd you say?
Nope.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Like, no, school, no.
Yeah. I honestly do feel kind of lucky that I got to learn what I did in school. Because I feel like now, if I had went the traditional route and just did my thing, and like I would be where I am now, just starting, being like, okay, how do I make art? You know, like I would be just starting now, as opposed to having like 5 years of experience to get to where I am now. But the thing about this stuff and learning this type of stuff in school is that, unfortunately, a lot of it you are going to be just doing online. It's like looking stuff up online and just figuring it out yourself. I think that's just the nature of it. like I honestly feel like you don't need to go to school. Like you really don't. The only thing that helped with Max in particular is that there aren't a lot of Max is not a very popular platform. So there's not a lot of resources for help online. If you search something up, um, you have to look for a really long time if you're having an issue and you want to look something up online. And I just had my professor there that I could just ask questions, and he's been working with it for like however many, years. But really, it's not necessary. There's so many people that are really successful in just like tech in general, but also like media art, digital art, that you can just learn everything on YouTube. I kind of went to like YouTube University a little bit program, because there's just there's the way that like traditional class structures are doesn't really make it so that you can get all the help you need. It does require a lot of initiative um, in addition to that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, though, because you also are in this kind of like alternative school situation, right? With 42. Yeah. So I guess I was kind of curious about that. Like, did you want to do that because there were gaps that you felt were missing, or was it just sort of like extra knowledge that you were like, I just feel like this is the best place to go into this, right? Because it's not like a traditional institutional school structure.
Yeah, and 42 has honestly been the best educational experience I've ever had. It's the first time that I've actually really liked school because it is an alternative environment. But yeah, 42 it's a software engineering school. They have locations all over the world, but I was at the Silicon Valley location. They're based in Paris.
Damn.
What?
I said, damn, Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley. But like, it is funny because the school in the 42 in Silicon Valley is literally 2 minutes walk from the Tesla factory in. Yeah, it's crazy. When I first drove up, I was like, wait, really? No, but it's crazy. Yeah, I that 42. Yeah, I went to 42 after I finished my undergrad. Literally the next month, like when I finished my last course, I went to California, and I did go because I wanted. I was. Yeah, I was doing a lot of the same stuff, like working with Unity, 3D software, or I'll say Unity, Arduino, and like physical computing and Max. But I was running through a lot of problems. It was really, really slow to do anything. And also when I was doing my thesis at OCAD, there weren't, my thesis instructors weren't coders at all. So everything just took so long. It was so hard for me to figure things out. And then after starting at 42, it just all made so much sense, because I started learning C and C++. And for anybody who knows C, basically all programming languages are based off of C. And so when I went, after I came back, or now I still attend, but now everything is it's crazy. Everything is just so much easier to understand. And I can see how Arduino and Max, and C# and Unity, they're all related to C. And if you learn C, you can really do anything. And that was my goal when I first decided to go. I was like, maybe this will help me in my art practice. A lot of the people I met there, they really want to be like software engineers at Google, and like they really want to be programmers, like hardcore. And most of them do go on to like work at Google and Facebook and stuff. But I was there like, yeah, I'm an artist. Like I still want to be an artist. Like I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, if I wanted to do something else, if I wanted to like get a real job or something, like I could do that. But I mainly went there to enhance my like the practice. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have that as like a backup, which is nice. But I think it's so interesting and awesome. Like I think that's kind of the interesting thing about your practice for me is that you work with so many different areas that are in a lot of ways I think probably still like quote unquote like non-traditional in a practice, but you bring them into your work like so beautifully. I think a lot of your work is super innovative. I'm always like, Zoma's the future. I love it.
Zoma's the future. Yeah. We love Zoma. Yeah. Well, what I think is really cool, because now I think you've recently become an educator, right? Like you're teaching some design. What I think is really awesome about your way of thinking is, which I think most, because I went to design school, and one of the things, like we did bring 3D programs into our learning structure and stuff, but we never really had a chance to really learn it because our teachers and profs weren't actually that well versed in them, because it's stuff that is growing every single day, so you have to result in YouTube University and all that stuff. And I think the way that you're speaking about it is really excellent. And you speak in a way that is it's an accessible thing that people can learn. You don't necessarily have to be I'm going to McGill to learn computer science, to learn how to use Maya or 3D Studio Max or anything like that. So kudos to you, Zoma. Kudos to you. It's really I hate when it's just you have, because my brother's an engineer and I'm just oh, he does so many cool things. And I'm obviously if you're an engineer, but for other stuff, I'm just Google it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Go on Coursera, whatever, Skillshare. It's all good.
Yeah.
I love it. We're like Google it, but then someone's game is also Google, you missed a lot of really important stuff here.
Exactly. Oh my god.
These are
Yeah, no. And it's I this is my first time teaching in a formal environment. I have taught informally, coding informally, at coding camps and stuff like that, for kids. And that's something, and it's I like it because I find that the tech world, it's huge, but it definitely attracts a lot of unconventional people, people who didn't just go the straight and narrow, route. I'm gonna do a computer science degree, I'm gonna computer science masters, and then I'm gonna, whatever. A lot of the people that I met that have high, high positions or a lot of skill, a lot of them dropped out of, college, or dropped out of school, or they didn't study tech at all, or, they're I met a lot of people who were who have never coded before, and they come from another country and they just want to come and learn. And it's amazing because there's actually opportunities for everybody. It's really open to everybody. But yeah, it's funny. I did teach kids coding, and now I teach young adults. And yeah, very, very different styles. I find it's a lot easier now, I'll say.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll go for a lighter question because we're getting real deep in things, but we're also a fun time. So, Zoma, during this pandemic, what movie or book or TV show, work of art, do you think is just ridiculously overrated and you don't understand why everyone loves it?
I'm kind of scared to say this because I'm
Say it!
But
we've had controversial stuff. Don't worry, we're good.
I don't know. I kind of feel oh my gosh, this is gonna be so bad. But I feel anime.
Whoa! No, that's so funny. Oh my god, so you're the whole genre. All of anime. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just I know. I really do wish that I liked it. Like, I just I have watched some anime with people. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like with my friends who want me to watch something, I'll be like, yeah, and then I'll watch it and be like, okay, yeah, it's cool. But I'll never just be like sitting at home by myself, like, yeah, I really want to watch anime. I don't really get it. Um,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of agree. Like, it's fine, but I'm not obsessed with it. Like, it's okay. I'm not in the mood for anime. Oh, Zoe, can we pin Abdul's response, which is haha?
No, that's so fun. I understand too, because like why does anime necessitate such a fan culture? It's something that is so interesting to me. Like that's like my underlying question behind all of it. I'm like, people don't just like watch anime like they watch a TV show, right? It's like it's like a commitment. It's like a lifestyle.
You need the merch. You need to go to Comic-Con. You need all of it. You can't just be like, I'm watching it. I binged it.
And also, like, if you watch anime, like apparently you have to like have an anime character as your Twitter like profile photo.
Yeah,
you do. That's a huge thing too.
Oh yes.
It's very culture specific, I guess.
He owns
he
has T-shirts with anime on it. Yeah, he loves anime.
He'll have
friends.
I didn't want to offend people who like anime.
Oh my god! It's an art style.
I've seen a lot of people from like really different backgrounds. Like a lot of my friends are like really, really into anime.
Yeah, all my brothers love it. Like we have like a group chat and they'll just keep doing references for this anime. And me and my mom are like, we don't know what you're talking about. Like, what are you even talking about?
With your mom? That's so funny.
Literally, with my mom. This immigrant woman, just like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. That's gonna be me as a mom. Like, I don't know.
No, so you're cool.
Yeah,
you're like so cool. You don't need to know anime. We're just like losers who don't know anime. We're just like mega losers. Yeah.
I guess maybe what Abdul means is that like anime comes from like a very like culturally specific place. Like I don't even really know, but you're right, Zoma. Like anybody and everybody can love anime, and they do. We see it, but yeah, that was the best answer. You're just like all of it. Like it's not even one show. What even is anime?
I really do wish I loved it though, because they seem like they're having so much fun, you know. But
yes, definitely, you're right. What has been your favorite pandemic snack?
Pandemic snack? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Kate, it's really like I've been so obsessed. Like it's actually kind of a problem. This this ice cream.
Yes.
It's like it's cinnamon cookie dough. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Is it the vegan one?
Yes.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about. No, why is it so good?
I don't know, but it's like I have to like it's I don't I don't even want to say like how many I've bought like even in the past 2 months. Like it's been really bad. I'm obsessed with it. It's so good, and I've convinced myself that it's healthy because it's vegan. I think the brand it's called So Delicious.
Yes,
or
that is the one.
That's what it's called. Yeah. They sell it at the Superstore. It's really, really good. It's so good.
Yeah. I think like even Shoppers sometimes has it, but they have different. There's like a regular cookie dough, but the cinnamon cookie dough one, I don't know what it is. It's so
good.
Yeah.
All of their ones, because I was using that one for like so long. I was like, maybe I should try a different flavor, and they're all good. They're all good. What about you?
I should get it. Pandemic snack? I eat honestly, Netta gave me a heart-shaped box of turtles. There was like 14 turtles and then like chocolate turtles.
I love turtles.
I know, they're so good. And
they're underrated.
They're Canadian, yeah. Oh, underrated and Canadian.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They were Canadian.
Let letting everyone know turtles are Canadian. Support local. So we're gonna get back to. We have silly questions I do want to ask you, but we asked this to Layla, and I think it was a really good question. And it was, what question do you hate being asked at interviews? And then we will ask you that question right after.
I don't know. Something, I don't know if this will really answer, but like, I think that, this is probably going to sound like bad, but I think that, like, there's I hear a lot of panel discussions and like interviews that are centered around being Black in tech. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, being Black in tech, like your experience. And I feel like people like talking about that more than the actual tech, you know? Or like what it is, more so than actually like telling people how you can do it, or like what are the technical, you know, things that you need to know. It's more so about like, what's your experience, you know, like in your identity being in this field. And I think that's important, but I definitely think that we talk about it too much, you know? So are you going to ask me that?
So yeah, tell us about being Black in tech.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel
You're like, I don't. It's not like what? Why?
I don't know. Like, I do think it's important to talk about, because I have like, my experience has been like, definitely. I have experienced a lot of things that people talk about. Like, a lot of people talk about, like, especially women. Like. Mm-hmm. People assume that you don't know things, or that you don't know this one thing, so they'll explain it to you. And that's not even just specific to tech. Like, I experienced that in art school too. The shop technicians, like shop dudes, they're the exact same. But that's definitely something that I always experience, you know, simple things that simple to me. I'll get a long explanation on how to do it, and I don't know how to say, like, hey, it's okay, you don't have to explain this.
Yeah.
I also feel like, sorry, no, keep going.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, but generally, like I said, there's a lot of, it's not a very, like, the tech world is not a very, like, normie place, you know, like, there's a lot of people who are different and think differently and like are accepting. So that's definitely a positive thing, why I like this field so much.
Right. That makes sense. I don't know about you, Zoma, but I feel like the way I feel about questions like that, I'm just like, it kind of depends on who's asking me. Like, if there's like a young like BB who's like, oh, I want to do this, but like I am anxious for X, Y, and Z reason. What's this like for you? Because we have like similar, you know, sort of like identities or like ways of like moving through the world socially. That's fine. But if like, you know, an institution's asking me or something, I'm like, what? Yeah. This is like not a question for you. You know what I mean? It's just like, you didn't need to ask me this.
Yeah. And especially in the corporate tech space, which I'm not really in. I don't really feel like a lot of the stuff really makes it, like, those conversations have really made a difference. I watch videos on YouTube of like Black women who will talk about their corporate experiences, and it's just crazy. Like, I'm really glad I'm not in the corporate world. It's totally different. I'm more like, you know, education and like nonprofit and art. So, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like they're applying the critique or the criticism at all. So I just don't really see why.
Circular conversations that kind of just go nowhere. It's like, oh, thanks for telling us that your experience sucked. It's probably going to continue to suck.
Like, and now we know.
Yeah, like the virtue signaling, like, hey, like, we care, and like we get it.
Oh my god! You know that meme that's been circulating where it's like, companies, we really care about diversity, and then the diversity is just like one white guy and then 3 white guys and then 2 white guys with a blonde woman, and then all BIPOC.
I've seen that. And that's so accurate. Yeah,
I know. I was literally like, these are my bosses. If they're on, I'm so sorry, but these are literally my bosses. Oh my gosh. Okay, Zoma, we're gonna do our infamous question, which is marry, fuck, kill, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I have to kind of think about this.
Oh yeah, we have our answers. Me and Netta immediately had answers.
Okay, I want to say I will marry Vancouver.
Damn.
Yeah. I will. I'll say I'll fuck Toronto and kill Montreal.
Damn, that's Montreal. First anime.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'll stick with that. I think. Honestly, Toronto and Montreal could probably be interchangeable.
Oh yeah, I would marry Vancouver.
Is that bad?
No,
it's great.
I would kill Toronto, fuck Montreal, marry Vancouver. Vancouver's so fuck Toronto. Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Jail.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck Toronto.
Toronto's just like dirty, like I don't want to deal with it.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I think I would marry Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not Vancouver. Vancouver's stable. Yeah, no one wants to marry Toronto. You're sick now.
You know why? I would fuck Vancouver. You know why? It's because I just can't. It's like it's too small. I think I'm like I can't see myself marrying it. I need something more expensive.
Wow.
More expensive?
Size
no, expensive. Here. No, not expensive. No, that's the thing.
Vancouver get more expensive.
Definitely kill Montreal though.
Oh yeah. I'll allow that.
I honestly want to move to the West Coast, so that's why I said that.
That's cute. That's very wholesome. I like that.
Yeah, and Montreal. I don't know. Have you both lived in Montreal?
No, just me.
Just you? Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people who have recently in recent years moved from Toronto to Montreal. I'm just like, that just seems like. I was just thinking about this recently. I was like, I feel like that's like a sign of defeat or something.
It is.
How I feel. It's probably really messed up.
I swear to God, every time I'm like, if I fail at something and I'm just like over it, I'm gonna go back to Montreal because that is defeat. It is literally. I'm just gonna go back. R.I.P. Montreal.
Montreal's die. You literally go to die in Montreal. Like, what even is that?
Yeah, there was this.
I totally get it. Montreal is cool, like cheap friends and everything, and like it's really cheap to live there, and you can actually just like be an artist and be figuring it out and still afford your life, But you cannot. You absolutely can't do that here. It's just not. You have to work. You have to work like a job.
A job. There was this hashtag circulating on Twitter the other day, and the hashtag was Florida of Canada, and all these people from these provinces were just fighting about who's the Florida of Canada, and everyone was like, it's Montreal and Quebec, like that's the Florida of Canada, and everyone's like, Toronto's New York. Yeah, you didn't see that hashtag?
No,
yeah, it was trending the other day. It was so funny because people were like, it's either Alberta or Quebec to be the Florida of Canada, and everyone was so mad. It was amazing.
That's funny. Yeah. I went to Alberta. I loved it. I was really pleasantly surprised.
It looks beautiful, but I'm sure the people are not.
No, that's the thing. Everybody was really like extremely nice. And I was in like northern Alberta, like rural, like middle of nowhere, and like
oh my God.
I would go out and like people were, I don't know if they were like maybe overcompensating, but they were just like, we were really with you.
I love that.
So I think we're pretty much at time, but I do want to ask you one more question before we finish off. Because you because you are always like thinking in really amazing, awesome ways, and I know that you have some other stuff that you're constantly thinking about and creating. So I'm wondering if you can let us know what are you working on or thinking about next, and do you have anything coming up that we can look out for?
Well, personally, I'm working on a few things. First of all, I'm still working with the Black Artists Union. So we're planning some stuff for this year, like a bunch of stuff for this year. Mainly me and another artist who's in the BAU, Film on Your Hands. He's really into, like, he traditionally did photography, but he also is like moving more into digital stuff, and he's really into crypto. We're developing. We got this grant, or we got a donation grant thing, and we're going to be developing a site for artists to sell, or mainly for digital artists, but like anybody, photography, digital art, to sell their work using NFTs. So using cryptocurrency and blockchain. So I don't know if you've ever heard of like OpenSea or Rarible,
No.
but yeah, it's a platform for artists to sell like visual, like photos, videos, anything you want really on blockchain. So
I heard about this recently, but I am like so behind. I'm such an old millennial hag. I have like not wrapped my brain around it. Yeah.
We were telling Layla, who was our other featured artist, we're telling her, we're like, you have to sell your art and NFT. We just started saying words.
We
we're like,
don't even know what it is.
She's like, I don't know what it is. We're like, what?
Yeah, the whole like crypto NFT thing is, I'm not really, like, Philmon is more knowledgeable on that stuff. I'm more into like the design part of it. So I'm working on that, and it's gonna come out this year. And also working on this project and having to go back and transfer all my stuff over from Max. I ended up getting like into Max again.
Nice.
So something I really love about Max is the way that you can produce music and have your music, be interactive and make your performances really interesting. So I'm working on, building some, music devices on Max, and probably going to be doing some Instagram performances soon.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're wrapping up. Once again, it is the last weekend to view the exhibit. You can check it out at deadprojects.ca. You have another couple of days to do that. And otherwise, after this, we are going to take a little bit of a break before our next show, but you can stay up to date with news on our next exhibit if you follow us on Instagram at deadprojectsucks. Thank you so much, Zoma.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been so amazing working with both of you. You're so funny and fun.
Don't say that.
Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, folks.